Hello viewers, I'm your host Shivangi Mishra with another episode of South Asia Focus. Let's first talk about India's evolving relationship with Israel. As the deadly Hamas attack on Israel completed the period of 6 months, the former Israeli ambassador to India praised New Delhi for standing by Israel, highlighting the strategic alliance of the two countries. Meanwhile, a Hamas attack survivor conveyed appreciation towards India and its people for their steadfast support during a challenging period. Indian students studying in Israel have also expressed gratitude towards the Indian embassy and authorities in New Delhi for ensuring their safe return in the wake of the October 7 attack. A report.
On October 7, 2023, Hamas terrorists waged a deadly attack on Israel, slaughtering people and taking hundreds of innocent civilians hostages. Shortly after the attack, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi posted on X that he was deeply shocked, adding, "We stand in solidarity with Israel at this difficult hour." 3 days later, PM Modi received a call from Israeli counterpart Benjamin Netanyahu, who updated him on the situation. Daniel Karman, the former Israeli ambassador to India, recently praised the Indian government for standing by Israel following horrifying terror attacks by Hamas, stating that the two countries' strategic alliance is well known. Daniel said that the ties between India and Israel are very strong and will continue.
India knows a thing or two about terrorism and about how to confront terrorism. The wonderful relations, the strategic relations between India and Israel is a well-known fact, and it was only natural and very much appreciated that the government of India has set out a statement, a very quick one, of support to its strategic partner Israel, and these relations, which are very strong and varied relations, will continue. I'm sure about that.
As the Hamas attack completed 6 months, a survivor of the horror, Moran expressed gratitude to India and its people for their unwavering support through a difficult time. While acknowledging India's contribution to Israel's global voice amplification, Moran said that the Indian people are providing for all of our needs.
I see the Indian support that started much before, years before the October 7th. And after the October 7th, thanks for the Prime Minister Modi, all over the media. And we know that India is a true friend of Israel. But I think it's not just the Indian government. Thanks to the Indian people who have always being and continue to be a good friend of ours. And I think it's just continuing from the same point. So thank you for the support, for the love you're showing us, and I think that you can help us. Our voice cannot be everywhere, and we know that the Indian people are taking care of everything we need, and thank you very much to the government, but for the people as well.
After the Hamas attack, Indian government had launched Operation Ajay, an operation to help stranded and distressed Indian citizens willing to return to home from Israel. Meanwhile, the Indian students studying in Israel have also expressed gratitude towards the Indian embassy and authorities in New Delhi for ensuring their safe return in the wake of the October 7 attack.
When it started, it was sudden, there was whole confusion on that day, and then things became clear. The embassy contacted us regarding the flight back. They said they will take all of us who want to go home. So, and eventually they took us back in 2-3 days. All of the people who wanted to go home, we signed up on a mail, and then they took us home in 3 days. And yeah, it was very clear, and we knew what to do exactly. And even the Technion arranged transport from here to the airport. So it was very clear what to do.
You were happy with the cooperation?
Yeah, everything was very clear. So we knew, from the government, from the Technion, from the management, it was extremely clear. We were told exactly what to do. So there was no confusion at all. So they made things much very smooth.
Today, when significant changes are taking place all over the world, the importance of India-Israel relations has increased even further. As in the nature of India, for hundreds of years the Jewish community has lived and flourished in harmonious environment in Indian society without any discrimination. It has made significant contributions to development journey of India.
Let's now talk about Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan, where locals found it very challenging to manage their expenses on the occasion of Eid. The situation in Pak-occupied areas are getting worse by the day. People in these regions are being forced to bear the brunt of Pakistan's economic crisis in the form of hike in taxes and shortage of essential commodities. And they see no relief in near future. A report.
The international community has underestimated the socio-political and economic factors affecting the people of Pakistan's occupied Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan in the context of their occupied status and the country's inadequate infrastructure. POK and Gilgit-Baltistan have been illegally occupied by Islamabad since 1947, and the residents of these regions have endured the worst of Pakistan's political and economic hardships for many years. People are complaining about unfair tax increases, an unusual rise in electricity cost despite protracted blackouts, and a crisis of vital services in the area that the state is fabricating. This year, on the occasion of Eid ul-Fitr, the locals found it very difficult to manage their expenses with the available job opportunities and incomes.
The situation in Pakistani-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan and Pakistani-occupied Jammu and Kashmir are getting from bad to worse by the day. Inflation is very high, people's buying power has collapsed, and it was evident over the Eid because people could not afford to buy goods for their families, they were not able to buy new clothes for their children. Hundreds of thousands of families could not afford to buy even a pair of shoes for their children. The situation in Pakistani-occupied Jammu Kashmir is absolutely abysmal.
The calls for fundamental rights have intensified into massive protest in Gilgit-Baltistan and POK. All political, religious and social organizations are demonstrating against load shedding and inflation and demanding basic amenities in the area. The majority of demonstrators assert that while they do not intend to escalate their protests, doing so is their only remaining option for persuading the authorities. The locals from all walks of life are supporting the public cause in Gilgit-Baltistan and POK.
Nobody is listening to the outcry of the common man and woman in Pakistani-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. The situation has worsened because over the Eid, people were expecting that they would be paid their salaries and their pensions, but for months they have been denied their wages, they have been denied their pensions. There is no social security net that could guarantee a dignified life for the unemployed or even for those who are facing destitute because of the economic crisis.
The most depressing aspect of the tale is Pakistan's assertion that the people of Gilgit-Baltistan and POK are free and ecstatic about the development projects. However, reality is that in the name of development and defense, Pakistani forces are just occupying resorts and tourist spots of POK and Gilgit-Baltistan. People are demanding better educational facilities and the creation of new job opportunities as the state of education is appalling. There is a serious crisis in the education system in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Despite the pressing need for better facilities, students and employees in the education sectors are being kept away from their basic rights. Amid rising inflation, teaching and administrative staff in POK are demanding their overdue salary increases. The Pakistani government has refused to listen to the legitimate demands of academic staff and students as the progress in POK does not align with Islamabad's objectives. Pakistan has transformed POK's educational institutions into sites of persecution. It views education as a threat to its illegal annexation of the areas, as knowledge could help the locals understand their legal rights.
Time now for Asia This Week, the stories from across the continent.
机会这个东西，以现在的民意来说，确实是有点讽刺的概念。然后，我觉得他的前总统他自己，我想应该是为他自己的历史定位来想去促成这个马习会。那以台湾民众，我也不能代表全台湾民众的个人意见，但以我自己的意见来说的话，我觉得，两岸上面马习会。在现在国际形势来看的话，以及他自己身为前总统来看的话
Videos circulating on social media, a local politician in Balochistan has been protesting against what he says is ongoing exploitation and oppression by the Pakistan Coast Guards. The video captured Coast Guard officials loading containers of oil into vehicles as the man delivered his impassioned speech. Activists have long alleged that Pakistan has been targeting the Baloch people through so-called military operations, while it continues to exploit their natural resources. Gwadar and other Balochistani coastal areas are being turned by Pakistan into a Chinese stronghold, home to the greatest number of military bases and cantonments in the area. A report.
A fiery video has gone viral on social media showcasing a Balochistan politician lambasting the Pakistan Coast Guards for exploiting the local resources. In the video, the man identified as Hidayat-ur-Rahman Baloch, a newly elected member of the Provincial Assembly representing Gwadar and the leader of Haq Do Tehreek Balochistan, is seen surrounded by onlookers